This is Rodney Brown, who's been an outstanding discus thrower collegiately for years, and he fires that platter out 209 feet, 8 inches. Imagine staying in a circle that has a diameter of 8 feet and throwing that platter for almost 4.5 pounds and getting it out 65 yards downrange and staying in that circle.
That's a heck of a throw in these conditions too, and so early in the season for Rodney Brown.
Exactly.
Welcome to SpinSei. I am so glad that you are here. I've put a lot of thought and a lot of effort into this. And the goal is to reach several different audiences. Whether you're young, old, I hope that I can provide something to you of value, whether it's a story, whether it's a laugh, whether it's a technical, whatever. But I'm here and let's get it. So first thing I'm gonna say is, what is SpinSei? Obviously, it's a play on words. But more importantly, it's a channel that's going to be centered around throwing, but track in general. But more so specifically, I really want to kind of bridge the gap between high school throwing and collegiate throwing. We'll get into my background and all that kind of stuff. But before we do, I kind of want to get into this term that I call implied or assumed competence. And then I think we assume competence in everything we do. We get on the road, we get in our car, and we assume that the person next to us have everybody interest in mind, or more so that they have the right license to, operate said vehicle. You assume that the person cooking your food has went through the proper channels of, food prep skills and all the research that goes into it. But more so, we just live in a world of assumption. But I don't want to leave anything up for assumption as to why I'm here, why I feel qualified enough to come before you and speak. So the first thing I'll tell you is I'm a 2-time UIL state champion. I am born and raised here in Texas. I'm a 2-time SEC champion. I'm a 2-time world championship qualifier. And now all of a sudden I'm number 2 in LSU school history. So I guess 2 is a lucky thing. But that takes me to my ground rules. I understand that jumping in front of you guys opens me up for judgment. And when I tell you that that's one of the most terrifying things ever, is because when I stand in front of you, I open up myself for ridicule for things that I believe should be in a program, or I might even say something that is completely, outside of what you think should be in a program. But that's the beauty of track and field. I think that when you take a step back and you look at how programs are run and how different things can be done, it's really fascinating that everyone has the same goal in mind. So with that being said, all of my performances are fair game. I mean, obviously, if I'm standing in front of you, you have the right to go back and look and see my career. You have the right to go back and kind of make fun of all the bad performances or, highlight all the good ones. But the one thing I ask is that you be respectful, have your opinion, don't let your opinion have you. And the golden rule is, upon new facts, I reserve the right to change my mind. Like I said, there's definitely so many philosophies that go into, creating a program for athletes, and some things, you stand by, and then once you kind of see new research, you kind of have the right to change your mind. So that being said, the last and the really most important rule, as a former high school coach, as a former collegiate coach, the first thing I can tell you is I am not your personal coach unless I am, into which everything I say I stand by, but more so, again, just use me as a resource. And like I said, if this will be fun. Let's get it. So the first thing that I kind of want to introduce you guys to is the things that I want to call throws lessons. And they honestly, truly may not have anything to do with throws, but more so, these are stories or personal experience that I have, come across that I don't mind sharing. But every single time, each time you see throwing lesson pop up, I want you to get used to it being the overarching theme of what this episode or what this segment is about. So take a seat, sit back, take a load off, get in where you fit in, and let's enjoy this first throws lesson. It goes as follows. So like I told you, I grew up in Texas, and you guys will get to know me a little bit along the way. And like I said, I've put a lot of thought into this. So this is a really, really important throws lesson for me. And it also goes back to the idea of assumed competence. So when I was growing up, we didn't grow with much. We didn't grow with a lot. So my dad was a good athlete. All my brothers were good athletes. But I remember this conversation, and we had one rule about sports. And he said, you can play whatever sport you want, but you're not going to be able to play it until the school can take you. So my first real sport experience, I was fortunate enough to play youth basketball, I guess you can call it. It was not travel, but it was like Boys and Girls Club. I had some very fortunate family members who, like I said, they seen that I was an active kid, and they wanted to make sure that I had the opportunity along with my cousins and all that kind of stuff. So technically it isn't my first full experience of playing, a team sport, but it's my most vivid memory. So this story I'm about to tell you is really important to me. So it goes as follows. Like I said, my dad said I couldn't play sports until the school was allowed to take me. So obviously once I got to 7th grade, I was new to this school. I moved from a small town, or a small-ish town, called Brenham, Texas. And I had the opportunity to my parents moved to a smaller town called Navasota, which at the time, I'll be honest, I was very, very upset, like highly pissed off. I think we even had the conversation where, things weren't like, by no means did I even have the right to question this, like I was going to be this all-star athlete. But it goes back to the idea of, speaking those things into existence. But I remember vividly having a conversation with my parents and saying like, yo, my friends are here. I got a pretty good athletic chance to, like, Brenham, Texas. If you know Brenham, Texas, they've produced a pretty good amount of athletes. And leaving Brenham, Texas to go to Navasota, Texas, at the time, Navasota, Texas was not what Brenham was. So at the time, I kind of made a deal with my parents to say, hey, okay, I understand we're moving to Navasota, Texas, but can we set this up to where, I spend a couple years and then I can move back, because it's going to provide me a better opportunity to, get to D1, whatever. I don't know why I had that dream, but again, obviously speaking those things into existence and having a little faith. But again, long story short, I end up in Navasota for my 7th grade year, and I end up on the basketball team, or I end up trying out for a basketball team. I had no experience, like I said, outside of that Boys and Girls Club playing any team sports. So all the drills, no go, all the, everything that you would assume from travel ball as a youth, I didn't know. So we get through practice, we're running 5-man weaves, playing basketball. I forgot to mention I played football, but my first love was basketball. But we're running 5-man weave, and I'm obviously screwing it up, but I'm pretty athletic. So, street ball, I make it work. And we get to the end of the freaking practice, and I'm like, I don't know why we doing all these drills, etc. In my mind, I don't know why we doing all these drills, etc., etc., etc. And I'll never forget the day Coach Lipscomb, Leroy Lipscomb, I'll never forget the day, walks up and at the end of practice, and he's like, I know you guys are wondering, like, what I got y'all doing, etc., etc., etc. And he looks us in the face and he says, it does not matter, I'm your coach. If I tell you a duck can pull a truck, don't ask what. Hook the motherfucker up. And that is assumed competence. Like in the short term, like that's all it is like, if I tell you to do something, then do something. Like as a person that's in a respected position, you got to respect the confidence to tell someone like, hey, I know what I'm doing, so follow. So welcome to SpinSei. And if I tell you a duck can pull a truck, don't ask what, hook it up. This episode is brought to you by Fibersport. Imagine with me for a second. There's some company that took the time, engineered an exceptional quality product, balanced it to perfection, and decided not to break your wallet. And kicker, they put my signature on one. My gosh. They put my stamp of approval. That's crazy. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to head on over to Fibersport USA. Pick up your product, get ready for a new season as we gear up, and use the word duck truck. Because if I told you a duck could pull a truck, don't ask what, just hook it up. And that'll get you 10% off on your checkout. And tell them Robbie Throw sent you, because we about to get busy. Let's get active. Welcome back.